Good morning. That's a larger number of people than I expected on such an early start, but thank you all for coming. My name is Sina. I work for a company called KYCDD, and we're a KYC vendor. And today, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite topic, compliance. Yes? Okay, no, maybe not. And AI, which is something no one's talked about yet at this conference. My journey in compliance starts, some of you may be old enough to remember this fella on the left. Quite a few years ago, I was a consultant working in forensics, and I've had the great fortune of investigating a range of crimes of the white-collar type, of course. And everything from FX scandals, LIBOR scandals, theft, Ponzi schemes, you know it. And that's led me to found this company that we have today, KYCDD, and we've designed or built a KYC company that is for you in compliance, for you in legal, for the guys who are actually doing the work. And our background has helped us shape this company to be a little bit different than others. And what I'm sharing with you today is some of the things that we're looking at, some of the trends that we're seeing, some of the things that we're working on ourselves in this very exciting age of AI. Because as we can all agree, KYC is expensive. No one likes it, it's unpleasant. We have to do it, and every conversation that we have with our clients is always the same. How much does it cost to screen a client? Why is it so expensive? Can you beat so-and-so? And everybody's focusing on this price per screen. How much does it cost? And, it's a pretty important number. But of course, what we have seen, especially of those of you who work in slightly more high-risk environments, is that there is another cost that's overlooked, but often is as important, and that's alerts. Now, alerts is all those clients, all those customers of yours that didn't just fly through your onboarding but got stuck. Something was up, something was wrong, maybe there's some sort of issue, and they needed to be reviewed by a human. And that's expensive and difficult to automate. It's easy to automate, screening names, but difficult. Easy to automate names, but difficult to automate review by humans. But before we continue, I want to just bring everybody up to speed with what we mean by screening. And some of you may be experts at this and work on it regularly. Some of you may be not so familiar. When we say screening as part of a KYC, we really mean particularly three things. One of them is sanctions, which you're familiar with, the lists from the UN and what. And then we have political exposure, which means the person you're dealing with has some sort of political influence. And finally, adverse media, which means that there's some bad news about this person. And the theory there is that if there is smoke, there's fire. So these are the three things that really constitute KYC. And very often, when you have to deal with an alert, it's because the individual or company that you're onboarding has hit one of these three things. And it's frustrating because most of the time, the alert is a false positive, meaning it's not the same person. It's someone else. It's a similar name or what. And it's challenging because if you're dealing with a high volume of new customers, very often you have something called alert fatigue, which you may outsource this review to someone else, to a different company, but they get tired and they may miss something. They may miss the real bad guys because there's just so much of it, and you get tired, and it's annoying to have to keep going through and saying false. So and of course, the most important thing is that it's very expensive because, again, there's humans involved. Right? Humans are expensive, and a large number of false positives leads to a large cost. So what can we do about it? Now, in the beginning, in the kind of early stages, and you can see it still today, the one thing, and you may have heard about this phrase called fuzzy matching, and if you've ever worked with one of these platforms, there's sort of a scale, how fuzzy do you want the search to be? And basically it means, how okay are you with two things sort of being similar, maybe they're the same, we're not sure. And this was an attempt to make sure we don't miss anybody, so we don't accidentally accept someone who we really shouldn't. But the challenge with this approach has been that very often you just increase the false positive, you can make the problem bigger. So what have people started to do today? And we can see from one of the big vendors, Comply Advantage, but the other ones will also have this. They have started to use AI. AI in helping you reduce the number of false alerts and to make it easier to identify exactly the person that you may or may not be dealing with. One of the examples is this. If you ever had to onboard someone from the Middle East or from China, you very often have this issue of all the names kind of the same, but different spellings. Now, AI brings a whole multilingual context to this. It understands that the same name can be spelled in different ways, different languages. I mean, many of you speak Greek, so obviously the whole Greek alphabet adds a whole new dimension to it. It also understands a global context. So, one company can be written one way in English, a short name, but actually it's a much longer name. That's the official name that may be in the sanctions lists, and it helps with that. And finally, AI is very, very good at improving fuzzy matching. Now, the things you see on the right here are different fuzzy matching algorithms. I'm sorry, this is math so early in the morning, but this is a way of calculating the differences, and fuzzy matching generally fails at this, but AI is very good at identifying, okay, this is actually what you meant by this name is this, and helps you reduce the amount of hits that you get, which is a good start. But AI sometimes makes kind of unusual mistakes. One of the things that we discovered when we started using AI in our platform is that it didn't take into consideration time. So it found a PEP from 400 years ago, from the Mughal Empire, which is some of the challenges with AI, is that you have to put in parameters that you didn't think humans would really notice. But beyond that, and this is where it gets really exciting, because beyond that, AI is, of course, very good at fuzzy, but it's also very good at identifying things that are a bit more complicated. Like, for instance, I have an individual, 2 different passports, sort of same picture. Are they the same person? The AI can do that very quickly. What about linking corporate ownerships? If you're onboarding companies, if you deal with legal entities, it gets a whole lot more complicated. AI can help with that and can sift through a lot more data faster than a human can. This is where we start to get really interesting. Because another pillar that we talked about, which is adverse media, AI is very good at reading the news and detecting bias. Now, this is a problem that we have today, is that, on the internet, every article looks the same, but the reality is that some articles are a lot more trustworthy than others, and, this is something that we've worked on a lot, is to give a reputability score. And that allows you to then determine, okay, which one of these adverse media sources are true and which ones are not. And of course, AI speaks every language. So if you have articles in Russian or Greek or another non-English language, it also understands that, understands the context further, and can help you. So really, the AI where it's going to be the most useful is in the review section. This is something you're going to see maybe in the next couple of years. These data providers, these KYC vendors, ours included, be able to address better, is to help you not just with the searching, but also with the review. So you'll have AI agents. I really don't like this word, but it's just basically a thing that can help you do a lot of the legwork for you. Like, we have a bunch of people, humans, sitting in our office doing remediation, doing the kind of review. It's great, but I can see very slowly we'll be able to replace them with AI that follows the same kind of patterns. So the way to think about AI and KYC isn't some sort of fancy colander that has these unusual shapes that can sift through, but really more of a detective that can help you or do the same things as a human does by going through the different steps that a human does to review and make decisions. And this is where AI still is very good, but it's the nascent stages. So that's sort of where we see the trends of AI in KYC. It's gonna lead to not just a faster response time, AI doesn't sleep, but ultimately and hopefully for all of us, a lower cost to onboard people. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for your time.